Hey y'all, you're watching Tambourine Shirley TV. Today I have with me Sonja Marie. Hey Sonja!
Hi, Sandy. Hi, everybody.
So before we get started, I have this little game called A to Z. And basically,
I wasn't prepared for this.
since you're in astrology and like spiritualness, healing and stuff, you can name anything from A to Z in that area. Go.
A for Aries, B for better, C for choices, D for discovery, E for evolution, F for funky, G for goodness, H for heaven, I for ice cream, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J for joy, K for kaleidoscope. I have no idea where these words come from. K, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L for love, L, M for magic, N for necessity, O for optimism, P for pleasure. Oh Lord, I don't like these times kind of things. A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q is for
Quinn, what's the word? Quinn Cook.
Queen Cucks? All right, Queen Cucks. You notice none of this is astrology based, right? Q for Queen Cucks. R for retrograde. All right, let me get on it. S for Sonja.
And
Solstice. Okay, anyway. T for Taurus. U, right? U for Uranus, universe. V for victory. W for wishing? This is
Wordlife Astrology. There we go.
Wordlife Astrology. What the hell? Wordlife Astrology. I told you I'm not good at this. X is for extra. No. X is for I don't know. X. I don't know. Extra.
God name.
Y for yellow. And Z for Zenobia. Whoever that is.
No. Wait. No.
Sandy, I'm not good at this. I get nervous and start freaking.
You did really well. You did really well. Oh, Sonja, tell us about yourself. Who are you and what is your business?
My name is Sonja Marie. I am a Cancer. I'm an astrologer and intuitive healer. I also am a columnist for Essence Magazine. I've been writing the horoscope columnist and back of the magazine for about 6, almost 7 years now.
Ow.
Pretty cool gig. I have thousands of clients. I'm also a poet, an author, performer, and I am a proud mama of a 17-year-old, beautiful brown young man who's about to be unleashed into the world and do some really great things.
Graduate. It's so crazy.
Yeah. That's who I am. I'm a whole bunch of things and nothing at the same time. And I mean that with respect. This is my poetic answer, is that all of those things I have done and have been a part of who I am in my evolution and my makeup. But at the same time, I'm just in this vast community of millions of galaxies that can actually look a little less than that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So I met you, right? What? It's like been, I don't even know. This was like Periscope days though. This was, I have no clue. Maybe 2017. Yeah, I think that's when you were doing Periscope.
I think around about that time, maybe 2015, 2016 actually. I started it with Layla. Actually, I was over
Yeah.
Layla Ashley's house, and she's a big tech gadget guru. And she's like, Sonja, you should get on this Periscope. And I'm like, what? I'm not doing no damn Periscope. I'm like, so stubborn sometimes when it comes to technology. But it ended up being a blast. She convinced me, and that's how we connected. I was just rambling on Periscope.
Yeah, it's been a cool journey just to watch you grow, even through. I know you've done a lot, but it's just like a lot of growth has happened still throughout these few years that I've known you. And then I finally got to meet you last year.
Hey.
Sonja, it's her. She's a person. After doing all those readings and stuff, I was like, yes, I finally get to meet her. It's cool. It's Sedona. So, what is your business, and how did you start doing your business?
It's kind of like a broad question because, I mean, for me, to be quite honest with you, a lot of times throughout my life, and this is just my incarnation and who I am, right? Things find me as opposed to me go looking for them. And maybe that's just who I am this time around. And it doesn't equate to laziness, just to add that. It kind of just equates to, in my almost 50 years of living, of me just being able to go with it and go with where God tells me. So I say all that to say is that my businesses have begun out of love. My businesses begun out of necessity. My businesses begun out of art and understanding of who I am and what I like to feel, what I want to convey, and give that to other people. So as far as astrology is concerned, it began me just loving it and having a hobby for it, or using it as a hobby, introduced by my mom when I was younger, and then it was cultivated throughout the years, different mentors and, tons of resources. And alongside that, Sandy, which is the bigger picture of what it is that I do, and you already know, since you've come to my retreats and you've had readings and stuff, it's my connection to spirit, and the fact that they have a lot of conversations with me, people's ancestors and guides, and even mine. So a lot of the information that comes through from them is validated through the astrology that the person's natal chart and what I picked up on. And I'm like, oh, so I use astrology as a modality, as a tool to assist what spirit is saying through me, to kind of validate it and make it plain and simple for people to understand, so to speak. Right. Did I answer your question?
Mm-hmm. So do you feel like you've always had a connection to, I guess, spirits or ancestors and guides?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Since I was younger, I always tell the story. And when people ask, I was always that child. Besides the fact I was a little sassy, I could see, people around people, and I would block it off. But there would be times where, my mom would be at the kitchen table talking to her girlfriends, and her girl would be upset, and I don't know why this guy is not talking to me or whatever. And I would know and say, well, he's messing with Sheila on the second floor.
Well,
like, a little smack in my mouth, being so fresh. Like, no, I can actually see him in my mind's eye right now at her house.
Wow, that's as a child, like, okay.
I couldn't express really all of that at 9 years old, so that kind of that made me suppress a lot of it because I couldn't understand it,
So how did you become comfortable enough to start doing it and then putting it out into the world?
It's a very good question. I've never been asked that. I actually went through a series, like a processing, I mean, I think the process of life, to answer this the long way around the block, the process of life is wonderful. And I think we negate the process, right? Like, we want so badly to get from point 2 to point 10 in a matter of a year or 6 months or whatever. And that's so incredibly overrated, to move that quickly through your evolution and through your process, because along the way you learn so much and you build so much up, about yourself, your character, and your spirit. So what I did was shut it down. like I alluded to earlier, like for a good part of my teens and my 20s, I shut it down. Whether it was through emotions, through smoking a lot of weed, just being out there, trying to be young and in the world. Like, you don't necessarily want to focus on that. Then after a while, after the birth of my son, it became a little bit more clear as to what they were trying to do, them, our ancestors and our guides, and they were assisting me to assist other people. So I started to become more and more spiritual in my own daily practices of prayers and meditations and Native American sweats and all kinds of things that I used to do or still do. And started to realize it was not only a gift, it was my duty, and we all have the gift. We just don't utilize it like everybody else. And then alongside that, I like to say it's like akin to a window opening. Sometimes people don't want to open that window. They consciously say, let's shut that down for the rest of my life. I'm good, because it's too much responsibility. But it was a process until I realized that I had a duty. And I realized too, Sandy, bust this, that I had some kind of control in it too. There was a moment in which I had to ask God, like, if you want me to do this, please don't let him show up solid. Like, because they used to do that and it would drive me crazy, like make me want to run into a brick wall or something, because it would startle me. Mm-hmm. Where I had to ask in my prayer, like, look, if you want me to do this, you got to change the way I see it. And almost instantly it did change. Like, it went from me seeing solid people and almost solid reflections walking down my hallway to seeing pictures and images and symbols in my mind and songs and different words that pop up and smells, scents, so that helps me a little bit better, because it allows me to stay grounded and be a human, as opposed to seeing a conglomerate, almost like a mosaic of just people and information and situation. Like, I don't necessarily want to walk around the world like that. Some people do, though. So with that, I was like, okay, I could deal with this. Let's roll, let's do it. And then I can shut it down when I need to shut it down,
So then how do you turn that duty into a business? And I know that some people feel like your gifts, I'm not speaking for everybody, but this is just has been my experiences. Your gifts should not be something that you charge people to do. So how did you turn that into a business where you are able to sustain yourself?
Well, let me speak to that point in case there's one person that's watching this that needs to see a different perspective. We have our gifts so we can survive. I mean, it's plain and simple. There's no other way to really exchange energy, because our gifts are energy. To exchange energy for the exchange of money. It's almost like this continuous cycle of love and energy that keeps going, and nobody loses. Mm-hmm. Nobody loses. So why not make money off of your gift? Whether you like toes, whether you like banking, whether you like, climbing up the mountain and bringing a group of people with you and sharing God's glory on the top of the Himalayas, whatever it is that you like to do, you can turn it into a business. You absolutely should, because then it doesn't feel like work. Then you're number one, actually, which is, this is out of order, but let me say number one, you are paying reverence to God. You're paying reverence to your ancestors, to your guides. You're paying reverence to spirit for dropping that gift inside you by utilizing it and making this world a better place. If it's just a little or if it's huge, you absolutely need to exchange and make money off of your gifts. Secondly, how did I do that? Simply by giving it away. Honestly, at first, it wasn't like a business plan. It's what I do is it's not necessarily the most popular thing. Although you can go on YouTube and see a plethora of astrologers and healers and tarot readers. However, there's no real business plan or marketing strategy, although some want to follow others because they've been successful. That could be a strategy. However, you're kind of like bushwhacking this thing, right? Mm-hmm. And my thing as a business, I was like, well, I'm just going to show people what I do. I'm just going to talk to my friends. I'm just going to build what it is, my confidence that I need within myself, and show my friends and show people that I love. And this is what's coming through. So it turned into word of mouth. Like it literally just started to bubble over, and then going public on Periscope, which I don't, utilize any longer, but going through, YouTube and Instagram and just being out there, it becomes more and more and more. Now, be honest with you, bust this, to debunk that whole myth of business and make it in a marketing strategy and using one thing over the other. Sandy, can I tell you, I have not had 10 straight up 10 new clients from being on Essence or in Essence. I'm not lying. And some may think like, what the heck? There are millions and millions of subscribers.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, one of the most infamous Black publications in history. However, they don't reach out to me through Essence for probably a bunch of different reasons. It's all word of mouth. 90% of my business is because you referred me or somebody else referred me, and I keep busy. And again, it's a business that I've had the luxury to allow it to build. And I'm not a stranger to hard work. So while it was building, I was just doing other things to make money, to survive, because you gotta survive, right? However, I want to make money off of doing what I love to do because it feels good. Again, that energy exchange.
So how do you balance your life, basically? So you have all of these things that you do. You write for Essence, you run a astrology business, you have a son, you have a social life. How do you balance everything?
Balance is relative to me. I think sometimes when we strive for balance, we oftentimes become imbalanced, if that makes sense. Let me explain. I think the only real way you can balance or bring to some type of equilibrium what it is that you want to do is to meet the moment at hand. Oftentimes, we can plan, we can schedule, we can say, I'm going to do 10 hours of this, 5 hours of this, and it can go according to that plan, but life does its thing, right? And sometimes there are emergencies, and sometimes you wake up and you're like, I don't want to do 10 hours for this because I don't feel it in my heart right now. It's not like, it's just, I'm speaking to my life because it's not, it's not working. So in those moments, balance for me at the present moment is what I want to do in that moment. What brings me joy in that moment? What is necessary for the collective in that moment? You understand? For my family in that moment. Do I need to eat crow and go do what I have to do for my son, even though I'm tired? In that moment? Or do I say, baby, let me get somebody else to take you because I need to rest in that moment? Honestly, it's really about meeting the moment at hand and being honest with yourself and what you can handle in that moment, as I keep saying it, and in order to be productive and achieve some type of equilibrium. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's very true, especially now because we can do a lot now, but
yeah, and you don't necessarily know what's happening at every time, and you really don't anyway. But for some reason, this situation has bottomed us all out and made us see on so many levels that we're not in control.
Right. So are there any lessons that you have learned as an astrologer / businesswoman?
Oh, tons of lessons.
Your biggest lesson, I guess the first lesson that popped up in your head.
Okay, the first lesson I've learned, is basically to believe in myself despite what the majority think. And sometimes that majority includes family, friends, and folks you're even waking up next to. I believe in answering to the desire of the soul. Many people were raised thinking that those desires lead you, to empty places or to irresponsible spaces. And I believe the contrary. I believe that when you're fueled by your heart, when you're fueled by your passions, when you're fueled by what it is, Spirit jumps in you to say, this is what you're going to do this time around. It always leads you to happy spaces. Others may become daunted by that, but maybe possibly it's something in them that needs to grow. And if it's something in me that needs to grow, I'll double back on that. But I have to do what God told me to do in that moment.
Right. So is there a message you would give to a young astrologer that is like pursuing this? They want to do it full time. What would you tell them?
Well, as I tell you all the time, and members of the online village that I have, and people that come to my retreat, and anybody that will listen in a workshop situation or me when I get into teaching mode, is intuitive learning. I have a book coming out, Sandy. It's called The Signs, an Astrological Memoir. And I'm really, really excited about it because it's very not typical. It's information on each sun sign, but it's less instructional and more filled with stories to represent what these signs represent in the universe. Which brings me back to the answer is that oftentimes as an astrologer, or I should say, I would impart this, to look at your environment, look at the people you're around, pay attention to the intuitive learning piece of the piece. Meaning you can get all of these books, you can have encyclopedias, you can study 17,000 astrologers, go on YouTube for hours and hours at a time. It's necessary. However, if you don't learn how to intuit what you see and make the pieces click, so to speak, within your own heart, mind, and soul to gain a better understanding that this is all created as above, so below. It's right in front of you. There's a reason why I love the predominance of red in my home. Why? Because I have a Leo rising. I need fire around me, even though I am a Cancer. As above, so below. It's indicative. War is an Aries trait. It's aggressive. You understand that? We look at war, we look at Aries energy, it's confrontational. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. As above, so below. So when you're studying, study the people, study their answers, study their questions, study their movements, study their facial expressions based on what the information that you've learned. Connect the dots in your own way by intuitively picking up on energetic vibrations that represent particular signs. And astrology on a whole, because it's not just about the sun signs, as we all know, right?
Right. The whole, yeah. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
So Shirley, shake up. Your last text message is the title of since you already got a book coming out, your next book. How are you going to use that to shake up the world?
My last text message, I have to look?
Yes.
Focus, Sonja. Let's build the platform. You're a huge part of that. Thank you.
Well, that's your next book. How are you going to use that to shake up the world?
How I'm going to use that?
Yeah.
I guess you have to see, huh? It's about focusing. It's about, again, building on the platform that Spirit and I, my ancestors and I, have laid down. It's about reaching, truthfully, Sandy, it's about reaching the hearts and souls of women and men that look just like us, who have forever been in this spiritual bondage, so to speak. And I'm not talking religion, I'm talking a certain freedom that God offers up. When God says, look, I want you to be free to be yourself. I want you to open up your heart and be who you are and around anybody and everybody unabashedly. That's my focus. That's my focus, is to speak the truth that comes through me so you can have the permission to speak your own truth. creates a platform for our children to grow. And they innately spiritual.
I felt that. Well, it was so great to have you on the show, Sonja. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, sweet Sandy. I love you and I miss you.
I miss you more.
And Black women in opera.
And get with it. Buy a shirt. Black women in opera. They only $30. Go on wordlifeastrology.com. Buy a shirt. Okay?
Please do.
So how can the people reach you?
Oh, they can reach me at my website at wordlifeastrology.com. That's wordlifeastrology.com. I'm on Instagram at wordlife Sonja Marie. Sonja is spelled with the J, by the way, Sonja. Facebook, Sonja Marie's Wordlife Astrology. You know.
Yeah. Thank you.